Titans, the division is ours. I don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
Everybody catches.
I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. It's Kush. I love me too much and your brain turn to mush. Fall flat on your tush. You couldn't handle the product I push. I guess I'm just used to it, I just do it. Like Nike swoosh, none of that Reggie Bush. Cause I'm top shelf, I ain't got wealth. But I'm on my grind like park rails. I'd sell the shoes right off my 2 feet, then add one, that's a yard sale. Got dumb bars that be smarter than Harvard, Yale. Take your pictures elsewhere, you wanna be TMZ, I wanna be VIP. Quit pandering, I'm not answering cause I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. All of that bark and no bite, that's alright. Not everyone can be the big dog. Take a walk, kick rocks. Can't keep me out cause I pick locks. They hearing me knocking, I'll never be stopping. I keep this shit popping like lip gloss. Get me pissed off and the whole squad point the red dots. Something like chicken pox, give me all what you got like it raw, shimmy y'all. Feeling like Tony Hawk, never stop, let it rock, better not get involved. Running a marathon and you a tourist. This my world, you a tourist. Fuck with the bullet, you get in the horns, I'm a tourist. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Oilers Fan Battle Podcast, presented to you by the Fan Battle Sports Network. So, I'm here, your host Michael, here again co-hosting with Tyler, and you want to say hey to everyone?
Hello, everyone. What a way to start off this Oilers, as you say, podcast.
Yeah, we got one more week of Oilers. We had a nice opening with the Oilers earlier this year, so hopefully we can duplicate that.
Yeah, I was at that game.
Oh, nice. And before I forget, everyone, don't forget to follow, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Check us out on fanbattlesports.com for all the latest news, articles, and blogs on your favorite team. Earlier this week, I put up a article remembering Frank Watchett. Do you have any memories of him back in the early Titans days?
No, because that was
before your
if I
time.
remember correct. How old was he?
52. Yeah, he got young.
That was probably before my time because I'm 28.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, he was one of the originals that came here. Is him, McNair, and Eddie George, the original three.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like I need to brush up on my Oilers history.
Yeah, he wore the Oilers for 3 years before they got over here as the Titans.
Okay.
But moving on to the NFL news of the day. How quick things can change in the NFL. Like, what was it, 2.5 months ago, everyone was wondering why we didn't keep Josh Dobbs here. He was out in Arizona looking good, got traded to the Vikings, looked good for a game or two, and now he's basically the practice squad QB for the Vikings. Relegated to third string, they said.
I mean, backups are backups for a reason.
Yeah. It's kind of the Ryan Fitzpatrick syndrome. He could come in and give you 2 or 3 good games, and then
He
he'd give
falls
you
off.
5 or 6 bad games right behind.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't. Well, I also think that had JJ been playing those games, I think that he may have lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. The NFL came out and made some news today. They mentioned 2 rule changes. Well, one that they're not going to change, and one that they are. So first, Roger Goodell and another executive, Troy Vincent, both said that the tush push is not under consideration for banment, that they wouldn't consider making a rule change just because a play is effective.
I think in that instance, teams just need to get inventive to find ways to stop it.
Yeah.
Get a defensive lineman that's going to be good enough to stop it. I mean, get you a Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, and it's not unstoppable for everyone. Other teams other than the Eagles, I think they said, are at like 64% success rate, and the Eagles are at 93. So you're basically just saying the Eagles are too good, so change the rules.
Right. It's very crybaby, and I don't support them.
The other rule change that they said they are going to make is the fair catches on kickoffs. So the kickoffs continue to be the play where the most concussions happen in the NFL, and that's why they instituted the fair catch. But I guess that rule has impacted the game too much. 31 of the 32 teams have more than 60% of their kickoffs are touchbacks because of the fair catch rule. And so the NFL, I guess, is saying 2/3 of kickoffs shouldn't be touchbacks. It needs to get closer to that 50% range.
That they just need to stick with the rule. I mean, honestly, like I'm just sick of they want this like perfect scenario of like they have this like idea of this like perfect NFL game and they're constantly trying to fine tune it until they get it, and I don't think that that'll ever be the case. Like, do we need to have a repeat of the Chiefs and the Rams both scoring 50 points on Monday Night Football like every game? Like, no. Like that's what makes these things so special. And so you like I've said before, like if we keep making these rule changes, you're going to really make the fan base hate the game of football because it's so hard to follow something where there's the rule changes and rule sets are constantly changing.
Yeah, and going all the way back to when they changed the overtime rules, I was a fan of the old sudden death overtime just because it feels like you're taking special teams out of the game. Like if you have a kicker that can kick a 60-yard field goal to win a game for you in overtime, the team shouldn't be punished for that. Like,
Right.
and same thing with this, they moved the kickoffs up 5 yards to increase the number of touchbacks. Then they institute the fair catch rule. It seems like they're trying to just do away with special teams as much as possible.
Yeah, I understand why, because they don't want people to get injured, but at the same time, injuries are going to happen in the NFL. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, you got all 22 guys on the field are basically more than 200 pounds running full speed into each other. Like, guys are going to get injured. You can't take that out of the game unless you're going to play flag football.
Yeah.
But moving on to the miracle on Monday night, right?
Well, what about it?
Well, do you think it's time to just turn the offense over to Levis?
Not yet. I think he still has a lot to learn.
Yep.
He's a rookie. He looked like a rookie there for a second. He definitely made some rookie mistakes in that Dolphins game with the pick six that he threw,
Yep.
and with that fake toss to Henry. I'm sorry, not the fake, the bad toss to Henry. That was so bad. There's definitely some things that he needs to work on. I think we can turn it over to him. But I also think he needs like I've said before on here, he needs a good supporting cast. And you can't expect your quarterback to do everything. Otherwise, he will get injured, i.e., Lamar Jackson. So I don't want him to be Lamar or to be Andrew Luck in the sense where they don't have a good supporting cast, so they're having to make plays on their own, and that offense is their offense because the longevity just is not there. But I think he can. I mean, with how special he looked with D-Hop, the 7 catches for 120 yards and the TD, that looks very promising.
And see, I think, like, I jotted down some stats that as I was watching the game. In the first quarter, he had 4 pass attempts. And in the second quarter, he had 6 pass attempts up until the 2-minute drill at the end of the half.
Okay.
And then in the third quarter, we went back conservative because it was a 1-score game in the second half, and that's always been the Titans' mantra to get to the fourth quarter in a 1-score game. In the fourth quarter, he had 2 pass attempts until we were down by 14 points. So, like, to me, like, he needs more he needs to have more control over the offense than 2 pass attempts in the fourth quarter. Once he was inside of the 2 minutes, he scored 18 points inside of the 2 minutes in the first half and the second half.
Yeah, but you make a very good point. Very fair. I just, at some point in time, it's going to catch up to him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he's going to have his bad games, especially as a rookie, that he ain't afraid to let the ball go. So he's throwing into some tight windows, and the receivers, like you said, Hopkins is making him look good throwing into those tight windows. But if he tries that with Burks or Kyle Phillips, then that might be picks and tips.
Yeah, I mean, I watched him throw into triple coverage on Monday night to D-Hop, which normally you would caution against, but when you have people like D-Hop, you're like, oh, triple coverage? Like, that's nothing. I mean, how many times have as a kid, watch, teams put 3-4 guys onto Megatron to prevent him from catching the ball?
Yeah, I had Megatron on my fantasy team the year that he went over 1,900 receiving yards. He's the only person I needed on my team to win the championship that year.
You're very lucky.
The other big impact player on Monday night is Howard Landry. Looked like he's fully back with a 3-sack performance.
Yeah, I was very happy with Harold Landry's performance. He definitely stepped up in the presence of Jeffrey Simmons not being there. I hope that this is just foreshadowing of what's to come. I hope that he continues to have games like this, and that because then that's going to take some pressure off of Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry, as well as that's also going to help out Arden Key to make some very key plays. So if we're getting the Harold Landry of old, this could be a team that could be dangerous enough to upset a team in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. because we've been begging for that front seven to find a pass rush all year, and they not showed up at all, really. Like Landry, I wrote down before the bye week, he had 111 plays. He only generated 4 pressures and 1.5 sacks. And since the bye week, he's had 179 plays, 27 pressures, and 7 sacks. So it seems like that knee's getting healthier as this season goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been told that recovering from ACL surgeries, it takes like a good year
Yep.
to really feel like yourself, like how you used to. So he must have a really good sports medicine doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, we can only hope, especially if we're going to try to make this playoff run at the last minute.
Yes, that is true.
But do you think that this can be a momentum spark for the team to actually make the playoff push, or you think it's just too little, too late, that they needed to win a game or two earlier?
We're not eliminated, so I don't think it's too late. We're close, though.
Yeah, real close.
I think that we have an opportunity to really make a good push after this Sunday's game. If we win this Sunday's game, which I think is likely due to the massive amount of injuries that the Texans have,
Crazy.
that could, I mean, it's hard to stop a team once they find their rhythm. And so if Spears goes out there and continues to, rush for 20, 30 yards on the ground and have 80 yards in the air, and D-Hop has 120-yard games, we could be a threat. We only have one road game coming up, where we travel to the Texans in a couple of weeks. The rest are home games. If we can win these 3 divisional games, we have a very good shot. The downfall is that we've lost to the Steelers, the Colts, and the Browns, so we need some help. I always feel like every year there's always that one team that always needs like the 5th sun on the 17th moon on the 18th day of the winter solstice help to get into the playoffs. So hopefully that's the Titans. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad if we missed the playoffs so that we have a higher draft pick going into the draft this year.
Yeah, and touching on 2 points there, we're not eliminated yet, but a loss on Sunday does eliminate us. If we lose any of the remaining divisional games, we're officially eliminated from the playoffs. The only game we can lose is the Seahawks game.
And with how the Seahawks are playing, I don't foresee us losing that one either.
No, Geno Smith is pretty much already designated out that game, so we're going to be going in there against a backup quarterback.
So I think it's very possible.
Yeah, and the other point, talking about the Texans' injuries, let's go ahead and start looking at the Texans here. Their number 1 wide receiver, Nico Collins, left Sunday's game with an ankle and hasn't practiced all week, so he's likely out. Number 2 wide receiver, Tank Dell, is on IR, so he's out. Their starting outside linebacker, Cashman, has already been ruled out with a hamstring. Their number 3 cornerback, Thomas, has already been ruled out with a hamstring. Their starting right tackle has not practiced all week with a hip injury and is questionable. And their stud rookie defensive end, Will Anderson, has not practiced all week with an ankle injury, and ESPN's reporting him as doubtful. And on top of all that, CJ Stroud hasn't practiced all week with a concussion. And ESPN was talking earlier that the NFL concussion protocol has 5 levels that you have to go through to come back. And the 2nd or 3rd level is getting cleared to practice. And CJ Stroud hasn't been cleared to practice. So if he's still on level 1 or 2 of 5, then seems pretty unlikely that he's going to play on Sunday.
That would be massive for us if he doesn't play. I mean, it's very sad to hear that he has a concussion. I would not wish that upon anyone. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't play and all of these starters for them truly do not play, this could be the momentum we need to try and make a playoff run.
Yep.
This would be monumental.
It'll make 2 weeks from Sunday pretty interesting because most of these guys are going to be back for that game. And so that's going to be the big rematch.
And it'll be hard for, well, I mean, CJ Stroud, if he does come back, he's going to be down some receivers. I'm really looking forward to playing the Texans to play our old number one wide receiver from last year, who talked the maddest smack after we released him. So I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. We released him, and he talked all that smack, and we replaced him with Hopkins, who's also in a revenge game against his old team. So it's going to be a battle of who can get the most yards between them two.
I would bet some money that it'll be D-Hop.
Yeah, I mean, it could come down to Mills versus Levis, and I'll take Levis in that battle every time.
Yeah, when I watch Levis go one-on-one with Jalen Ramsey, a top 5 defensive back in the entire NFL who's all pro, I think I'll take Will Levis.
So I was wanting to address this comment here that Mills played well against the Titans last year. And I would just like to point out that Malik Willis ain't going to be wearing a jersey on Sunday. We got a slightly better quarterback suiting up for this game.
I would also like to point out that I'm so happy that this person said that Mills played well against us in 2022 and 2021. I'm just wondering, who did the Texans have to spend the number 2 overall pick on? A quarterback, because didn't have what it took to be a starting quarterback.
Nah, nice. Looks like one of the career backups coming in. But do you think this game is going to be a Levis game or a Henry game?
Henry likes running against the Texans.
A lot of 200 yards games against him.
I'm pretty sure that Henry has records for 200-yard games against the Texans.
Yeah.
So with that, it's hard to say that it won't be a Henry game.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm leaning towards Levis just because I think that with all of the injuries that the Texans are going to overcommit and sell out to stop Henry.
Okay.
And that's going to leave room for Hopkins and Levis to cook on the back end.
Fair.
And so, especially with Will Anderson possibly not playing, and so that's going to limit their pass rush, and so they're probably going to have to blitz more. And so that opens them up to play actions, and that's Will Levis's strong suit. Those play action deep shots are just where he makes his money at.
Yeah, that he does. I'm thinking about that really cool catch that D-Hop had.
Oh, yeah. Laying on his back.
Yeah.
And what about the diving catch Henry had for a first down on 2nd and 15?
I was scared. That was a tad bit scary to watch.
Yeah, if he landed on his shoulder or on his hip the wrong way, and he would be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I was scared because you normally don't see Henry do that a lot. So I was like, please don't injure yourself. Like, that's the last thing we need. We don't need you leaving this game when we're trying to win.
Yeah, and this is a interesting comment. Vrabel versus D'Amico, two defensive-minded tough former players. That's a nice coaching combo. I think both teams have good coaches with these two.
Yeah, D'Amico Ryans, I think, should be up for head coach of the year.
Yeah, I think so too. With what he's done with Stroud, and everybody was expecting the Texans to be a 4 or 5 win team again, and they're here competing for a playoff spot.
Yeah, they nailed it with this year's draft class.
Yeah, absolutely. But we talked earlier about Landry and Key and Autry, and can we duplicate that pass rush a second week in a row without Simmons, because he's not practiced this week, and so it's trending that he's not going to play?
I think it's possible. I mean, we had 5 sacks against Tua. And if they're missing their right tackle, that definitely is going to open up some lanes for us. And we have Danico Autry, who's used to playing in the AFC South against the Texans twice a year, whether it be on the Colts or on the Titans. I think that this could be a really big game for him.
Yeah, I think so too. We also put Pecco, who was replacing Simmons, on IR, and so I think that it's going to be a lot of responsibility put on Autry for this game. He's probably going to see quite a uptick in his snaps.
Yeah, I think also that they'll rotate out the other defensive end spot.
Yeah, and with Key, I mean, if he's going up against a backup right tackle for the entire game, and then Landry is going up against Tunsil, who missed one practice this week. He's dealing with an injury as well on the left side. So, I mean, it could be a vulnerable offensive line that they're rushing up against.
That is true. That will make it very hard for them to run the ball.
Yep. And with their number 1 and number 2 wide receivers out and their quarterback out, it's already going to be tough sledding trying to throw the ball. So if we can stop the run game, that could completely stifle their offense.
That is 100% true.
But the Titans ain't won a back-to-back game in 396 days. So do they finally reset that back to 0?
I think that they do. I think this is the game this is game number 2. This is the best chance I think right now we have to win 2 in a row.
Yep, I think so as well. And it's also been 414 days since we beat a divisional opponent. So just to think that there's been 2 Halloweens, 2 Thanksgivings, and a Christmas since we last won a division game. If we lose this one, the next one isn't going to be until after Christmas. So we'll have 2 Thanksgivings, 2 Halloweens, and 2 Christmases since the last division win.
That's brutal.
But I think they get it done this week with all the injuries, and then they're going to be still high off of that Monday night win, and the home crowd is going to welcome them. I think this is when we finally get that monkey off of her back.
Correct. I agree.
You got a prediction for the score?
I'm gonna say 28-14 Titans.
Yeah, I have it. I have a similar score. I think that we get in the end zone one extra time. I have it 34-13 Titans.
How many days has it been since we've scored 30 points?
It's been less than 414 because we scored 30, I think, against the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
So that was last Thanksgiving, but I think it's been 370 something like that days. I got it wrote down somewhere because I like to bring up those streaks every time I think they're going to break them. So.
Got to.
But before we get out of here, I was going to look at some playoff math and things that need to happen for us this week. So everyone's posting about the Titans have 1% chance of making the playoffs, which is true if you consider every possible outcome of the NFL season.
Okay.
But the only realistic way for the Titans to make the playoffs is to win all 4 of the remaining games on the schedule. So if we do that, if we take care of our business, then that increases the odds to 18%, which still ain't great, 1 in 5, pretty much.
Right.
But the Titans have 3 games that they really need to break their way this week. So those 3 games are the Cowboys beating the Bills, the Lions beating the Broncos, and the Vikings beating the Bengals. If those 3 things happen, then the Titans' odds increase to 25%, again, assuming we win all 4 of our games.
I think 2 of the 3 will happen.
The doubtful one in my mind is Vikings and Bengals.
I agree with you there, 100%.
So I was diving deeper into that one before we jumped on here tonight. So they have the same record on the year, but they're both missing their quarterbacks. The Vikings chose to move on from Dobbs, and of course Cousins got injured earlier this year, and Burrow is out for the season. So it could come down to which of those 2 backups are better. And Browning has looked really good with his wins over the last couple weeks. I think one of them came against the Colts, if I ain't mistaken, and I think did the other one come against the Jaguars?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is
so
correct.
I mean, he's looked good.
He also has a top 5 wide receiver to throw to.
Yeah. And is Jefferson out this week?
I would be shocked if he's playing this week because he left the game with a chest injury. I haven't read the injury report though to see if he's been practicing or not, but I would be shocked if he's playing. It's sad because I would have loved to have seen Cousins and JJ go up against Burrow and Jamar, but maybe at a later time.
They're saying that ESPN has the Vikings calling him questionable, but Jefferson himself said in the locker room, told a reporter he's playing on Saturday. So he says that if they let him, he's going to make a go of it. So
good for him.
That'll be interesting. Jefferson versus Chase.
That'll be interesting. If it was, like I said, if it was Burrow and Cousins, it'd be a high scoring game.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will be.
Yeah. So there's a couple other games we have slight interest in, but they don't drastically impact us this week.
Okay.
One is tonight's game, the Chargers and the Raiders. So both of them have the same record that we have right now. So it would actually benefit us if the Chargers win tonight because we own the head-to-head tiebreaker over them. So we would want to finish in a tie with them.
Okay.
Let's see, what was the other ones I've noted here? The Ravens and the Jaguars. Of course, if the Ravens beat the Jaguars, then that keeps a small path to the division title open for us. So it's better to have 2 paths than 1 path. So
true.
And then the other one is the Steelers and the Colts. So no matter who loses that game, if we win on Sunday, we will be 1 game behind them, and they will be the 7th seed.
Okay.
And so we need the loser of that game to lose 2 of their final 3 games because they both own the head-to-head tiebreaker over us. So it's not good enough for them to lose 1 more game because then they have the tiebreaker. So we need them to lose 2 after this weekend.
I've seen the Colts' schedule.
It's pretty soft.
It is. Because they have the Steelers, they have the Raiders, and they have Steelers, Raiders, Texans,
Yep.
And I can't think of who else. But it is pretty soft.
It's the Steelers, Texans, Raiders, and Falcons. So
Falcons, they can maybe lose to.
Now, if they win and the Steelers lose, then we would need the Steelers to lose 2 of their final 3, which is the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Seahawks. And I could definitely see them losing to the Ravens and maybe the Bengals on that schedule.
Fair. Yeah.
So as much as I would hate to root for the Colts, it may be in our best interest for the Colts to win that one, since the Steelers are more likely to lose games down the stretch.
That is true. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.
Those are that pretty much runs it down. But yeah, it sounds, when people say you got a 1% chance, it sounds like we need a just massive amount of help, but we just need help from 3 teams this week, and 2 of them are very likely to happen. So
anything's
just need to get lucky once.
I mean, I've seen the Colts squander a 90% plus chance to make the playoffs. All they had to do was win win one game between Jacksonville and Raiders, and they went on to lose both.
Yeah.
So I mean, literally anything can happen.
I mean, hell, look at us last year after the Packers game. We was 94% chance to make it, and the Jaguars were less than 1%. And you know what happened there. So.
That is true.
But I think that'll probably do it for us tonight. You want to tell everyone where they can find you at?
Yep, you can follow me on Facebook at Tyler Warren, or you can follow me on Instagram at Manning of Steel.
All right, and thanks for everyone that joined us, that commented. Everybody, don't forget, like, share, follow, subscribe, and enjoy some Mayo this weekend. So
Have a good one. Thank you for having me.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.